The tables have turned on convicted murderer and rapist Thabo Bester's former instructing attorney. Tsireledzo Ndou is set to appear at the Bloemfontein Magistrate's Court today on charges of assault and attempted rape. He is currently out on R1,000 bail, and it's believed that Bester's former lawyer, advocate Jeremiah Pella, is representing Ndou. This is despite Pella facing charges of fraud involving a security tender at the Motheo Tivet College in Bloemfontein. Newzroom Africa's Linda Mnisi is in Bloemfontein. Good afternoon to you, Linda, and you're standing by to speak to the NPA's Vladi Shuping.
Indeed, I'm standing by to speak to the NPA, but you mentioned there in your intro that he is set to appear. Quite surprisingly, as members of the media, we arrived this morning making our presence known by, of course, following due processes that are usually followed when an accused is expected to appear in court. What we then did was, of course, make sure that the letters requesting to film the proceedings were signed on time. They were also collected from us on time ahead, in fact, of those that proceeding. We waited outside the courtroom until, of course, the matter is called. And surprisingly, members of the media were not called into the court, despite having filled in the form that is required for them to access court proceedings. It was only later that we discovered that Tsireledzo Ndou had in fact appeared and his matter now postponed. I'm joined now by the NPA spokesperson, Vladi Shuping, who will give us a sense of what could have really happened. Dr. Shuping, usually, I'll make an example with the Bester case. We're always here in this court usually, and when that matter is in court, we're told exactly what time this matter will sit, and when it's time for it to sit, we're then called into to the courtroom. That did not happen in this regard. Members of the media, also given the fact that this was the first time that we're covering this matter, were not called to deal with the request to film the proceedings. Do you have any idea of what happened?
No, definitely I don't have any idea. What happened was that we normally use the front doors of courtroom 20A, but they've been locked since this morning. So our assumption was that the court has not yet started, but it was only later that we realized that they are using a back door that we normally do not use. And unfortunately, by the time we realized that that court is sitting, people are using the back door, the accused had already appeared before the court.
When you say back door, is this the door that ordinary people who are coming to the court would usually use to access the court?
Well, that's the problem that I have, because normally, like I'm saying to you, we use the front doors. So I don't know why the front doors were locked. It could be there's a proper explanation that could be given by the clerk of the court or maybe court officials. But considering that the doors were locked, they were using the back door.
Was there any signage that was perhaps put outside the courtroom to indicate that such a thing was happening and that, others who are accessing that court in particular would be able to enter?
Well, just like everyone else, I was here since around 9:30. I was waiting for the court to start. There was no signage. The only signage that we got was that courtroom 20 has been moved to courtroom 17, where it's going to sit. So besides that, there was no signage to indicate that the entrance that is being used is the back door, not the front doors.
Okay. Do you know what time exactly Mr. Ndou appeared?
I don't have any idea as to what time did he appear, but from what I got from the prosecutor is that he had already appeared by the time we got into the courtroom.
So he may have also used this back door.
It's like everyone was using that back door, so it's only us who were not aware that people are using that back door.
Do you have any idea how the court dealt with the request by members of the media to film these proceedings? Were you informed at all by the prosecutor in this matter?
No, definitely there was no communication. We are not even involved as to if the media wants to broadcast any court case. The responsibility is that of the court manager or the court officials. Our prosecutors are not even involved, except in an instance where the prosecutor will have an objection for the media to be in the courtroom in an instance where there is a minor accused that is appearing before the court.
But you're admitting that you would have to, of course, make submissions to the court based on what the request is from the media. All legal representatives are usually asked to make submissions or comment on the media's request to film the proceedings.
Definitely.
Were you given that opportunity?
No, I'm not aware, because remember, like I'm saying to you, we got into a courtroom, the case had already been appeared, the accused had already appeared, so we're not sure what transpired during the time that the accused was standing before the court.
So our understanding, and from what we're getting from of course, the corridor talks, and not directly from any authority, is that this matter has been postponed. Are you able to confirm to us when it has been postponed to and why it was postponed?
The confirmation that I got from the prosecutor that was in courtroom 17 or courtroom 28, that was sitting in court 17, is that the case has been postponed to 7 July because there are further investigation that still needs to be conducted by the investigating officers.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. That's Paladi Shuping Ndou explaining to us the issue around this court. It seems there was a certain backdoor that was used, and unable to tell us whether or not the issue around the media's request to film these proceedings was really dealt with. This is something that we'd usually see in court proceedings when media makes a request through a document that we're usually given in court to make those requests or to film those proceedings. Completely unaware of that, but it seems everybody who had access to that court was using a back door, and from what Paladi Shuping is telling us is that there was no signage even from where we were standing. Quite interesting is that the doors, as he puts it, were also locked. So, they may have used the back door and exited through that back door where really nobody could have seen them. So it seems now that matter has been postponed. It's still on the court roll. Tsireledzo Ndou of Tindo Attorneys remains an accused person in this matter, charged with attempted rape and assault.
Linda Mnisi, thank you very much for that report.